Hey everybody, today we'll do another video, and today we will write a little C++ code to output the Pascal triangle. So the Pascal triangle, I think it was called, right? So let's get it started. So so this is what the Pascal triangle look like, right? So we have a 1 1 1, and then we have 1 1 1 right here, and then we have the middle numbers are increasing, right? So I'm not gonna show everything how to do this. I might show just maybe the first couple rows because it takes a little while to explain everything, and I don't have a lot of. I don't want to take too much time doing these videos. But anyway, let's get it started. Okay, so this is what I did right here. So I created prompt the user to enter a number, right? In the first, right here, the first line of code. Then right here, obviously, n, the integer has to be declared first. So integer is equal to n, right? Obviously, n is a number, right? Well, yeah, the n is the number that the integer that the user will be entering, right? So then we see out this line right here, right? Enter the number of rows, right? Then we see in. So right, so that will prompt the user, enter, right? And then once the user entered that number, the n will be inside this first for loop, right? So then whatever that number is, right, is going to be stored over here in this variable, right? Now, then we declare another variable here. So you can see that I is equal to 1, right? Then I is less or equal to the number that the user has entered, right? And then if that is true, then we actually increment I by 1, right? In order that this is the main loop connected to this bracket right here, right? So now this is the main for loop, right? Then we declare another variable here. This coefficient value is equal to 1, right? Then inside, and then we have another for loop like that states that a certain number of k, right, certain integer k, is equal to rows, right? The number of rows, which is n minus I, right? What is I? I is 1, right? This is important to understand because this is the one that we're creating these spaces, right? So right here, n is going to be equal, in this case, n was 5, so n is going to be 5, right? So, but then it's going to be minus 1, it's going to be 4. It's going to be 4 values, right? And then it's going to be decremented by 1, right? So it's going to be 4, right? Then in other words, it's going to be 4. It's going to be like this. It's going to be 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So that will be the value of k, right? Then if that is true, if this is true, and remember that k has to be greater than 0, right? K has to be greater than 0. And then it will be decremented by 1, right? K minus represent is going to be decremented by 1. So when that happens, k is going to be equal to 4 values, right? So it's going to be equal to 4, and then it's going to be go like this. It's going to be like 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? It's going to be creating this space right here, right? Then we go inside this for loop, right? And we see that this for loop, we declare j, and j is equal to 1, right? And we say that j is less or equal to I, right? But I initially was 1, right? So in this case, if I can get a little more space here. All right, so in this case, we say that j is less or equal to I, right? So j is less or equal to I, right? But j is 1, j is 1, right? And I is 1 in the first, right? So that means that this statement is true because it can be less or equal to, but it cannot, j cannot be greater than I, right? Then that is the statement, this will not run, right? So, okay, so this is true, right? So that is true. Then we say that coefficient, what is the value of the coefficient? Coefficient is 1, right? Coefficient is 1, so it will print the first one right there, right? It will put 1, that one right there. Okay, so and then we have this formulas. We say coefficient value is equal to coefficient value times that, right? Times what? Times I minus j. So it's going to be equal to coefficient value is going to be equal to, it's going to be equal to 1, right? Times 1 minus 1 divided by j, which is, in this case, j is 1, which is going to be equal to 0, right? So then it's going to j coefficient is going to be equal to 0 at that moment, right? Now we will check, we'll increment. Remember, we're still doing this because we will check again if this statement is true. We increment j again by 1, right? By 1, which is then j is going to be 2. 2 is less or equal to 1 because I is still 1, right? I is still 1. Now this statement is not true. Then this is going to exit the loop, right? Exit the loop, come over here, right? And go to the next line. Go to this, right? And then k is going to be equal to, it's going to be equal to 3. Let me just say, because I don't want to create too much confusion here. So then k is going to be equal to 3, 2, 1. Right. So now we will create this spaces right here. So it's going to create 1, 2, and 3. Right. Now it will create that, right? With those 3 spaces right there, right? Now in this case, we will create that one, right? We'll create that one. So it will say, okay, so it will go to the next line because this will make it go to that line right there, right? Now it's going to increment this. We will go to the main loop. We'll go to the main loop right here and increment I by 1, right? Now j is 2, right? I is going to be equal to 2. 2 and 2 is going to check it again, right? So now what is going to be the value here? The value of, and then it's going to check, right? It's going to check this. It's going to check this again, and it's going to say, okay, so the coefficient check is going to be add 1 to it, add that one to it, right? And then it will run again, right? And then it will say, okay, so what is right here? So it's going to be what? It's going to be 1. K is 1, right? K is 1, right? K is going to get reset to 1 again, even though over here was 0, but then K is going to be 1. And then right here is going to be, it's going to be 2, right? So 2, let's see, hold on, okay, so it's going to be 2. So it's going to be 1 times, right, times 2, J is 1, right? J is 1 over J, which is 1, which is going to be equal to 1, right? Now, in this case now, coefficient, this coefficient right here, in this case, coefficient is equal to 1 again, right? Now in that case, it will come over here and because that statement was true, it will make another space right there, right? In between that, right? There's another space in between here. So right there, you can see that it's already forming. It's already forming, right? The triangle. Now, in this case, that was true, right? Now, what is going to be the next? We are here in this loop now. We are in this inner loop, right? In this J loop, right? Incrementing J again is going to be incrementing J again is going to be 3, right? It's going to be, and what is I? I is 2, right? This is not gonna work again, right? And it's going to exit this loop, right? And come over here and add and increment here, right? Increment this, right? And it's going to be, in this case, it's going to be incremented by 1. This is going to be incremented by 1, right? When this is incremented by 1, this is going to be equal to 3 again, right? And that statement is going to be true, and it will print this value right here, right? It will print that value, right? And so forth and so forth, right? Now, so this is going to be, 3 is greater or equal to 3, right? And that is going to be right here, right? Now look at this. Now it's going to be equal to 3, right? 3 minus 1, right? Now, right here. So it's going to be 3 minus 1 over 1, right? And then that multiplied by 1, right? By 1, which is the coefficient of this. Coefficient value is 1. So in this case, the coefficient is going to be equal to 2, right? So we put Sue right there, just to do it for this time, because I need to write the code. So it's going to be equal to 2. Right. So now it will check. It will check again. Okay, so is this true? Right. Now it will come in. Right. So, but remember, in this case, because I is 2, right? I will be, okay, so now we'll come over here and check. Right? Is this true? It's yes. Right. And then it's going to be, what is the coefficient? The coefficient was 1 previously. Let me just, okay. It was 1 previously, right? So that one will be put right here, right? Now it will check again, right? It will check, right? Now in this case, right, it will jump to this line right here, right? It will go. Okay, so let me go back, because I wanted to explain this a little quick, but I don't want to take too long. Okay, so now we know that this statement is true, right? This statement is true. Now, what is the value of this? Going to be this, right? It's going to be 1. So that one gets put right here, right? Now, when we do this calculation right here, this value changes to 2, right? This value changes to 2. All right. Now we checked again. We add 1 to it, to J. Why? Because we're in the J loop now, right? Then this becomes 4, right? J becomes a 4 now. Right, is 4. What it was, I was 3, right? Is I less or equal to 3? No, right? Then it will come over here and this loop, right? And go back and come over here to this line again, right? And then the coefficient is going to be, and then K is going to be equal to just 2, right? K is going to be equal to just 2. All right. And then it will add, and then it will put that 2 right there into this, right? You can see right here, right? You can see that 2 right there. The value of coefficient is going to be placed right here on 2, right? Then it will increment I by, oops. It will increment I by 1 again. Okay, so it will increment I by 1. Okay, so it will increment I by 1. Then it's going to say, okay, so now I is going to be 4. So then it's going to be, because we're going back to the loop, back here to the main loop, we're going to increment I. It's going to be 4. Right. Right. So is it going to be, is it equal to, I'm sorry. This is not, okay. This is, okay, so incrementing I, right? So this is going to be nothing but 4 again, right? Now we'll check that, right? If this greater or equal to, then it's going to be add that to right there, right? Why? Because that's the value, right? It's going to be that value of 2. Now let's do it right here. So let's do so now remember this is 2, right? So 2, right, minus okay, so okay, so basically right here, right? It's going to be tied up right here, but you get it that right here, because this was the value, right? Let me just do a little quick. Hopefully, right here. So coefficient now is equal to 2, right? And then it's going to be equal to 3 now minus 1 over 1 again, right? So then that is going to be coefficient again. Coefficient right here is going to be equal to this is 1. Coefficient is going to be equal to 1, right? So coefficient right here, the J is 1. So then, no, J in this case is 2. Sorry. J is 2. Right, so J over here is 2. Right, over 2, right? Then this is going to be what? It's going to be 1, right? So, but that 2 right there is going to be canceled. That's going to be 1, right? And then this is going to be 2. And that is going to be canceled, that, right? So then coefficient in this case is going to be equal to 1 again, right? Now, I want to finish this up, right? That coefficient value is going to go back to 1. Right there, right? Now, it's going to check again, right? Is it true? Yes. And then it's going to add that. It's going to add this one right here, right? So, remember now we are here. Right, and this is the last one. This is the last value that we got right there. Right, so that is that one. All right, so now you know, right? So the iteration that we have, this is being formed already. The triangle is being formed. Okay, so let me just write the code a little quick. So let me just create new project, right? So let's create this little quick. So do an empty project, and then we hit create. We can put it Pascal tutorial, right? Like that. Okay, so now we go and we do project, add new item, C++. Okay, so as always, we put include, right? And we put IO stream, stream, right? And then right there, we enter, right? And we say using name space right there. And then we say std, and then we hit enter. And when that is done, we do int, we do main, and then we set up like that, and then we just do bracket, give us some room, and we said okay, we say declare, little comment here, we say declare object, right? Object, right? And then here, the only one that I need to declare in this case is the int, and then we say that n, right? Right, which you know, you can put a comment, you can say number of rows, right? Something like that if you want to, just to make it, you know, right? And then, and here we can say that we prompt the user, we say cout, right? Like this, like this, and we set up like this, and then we put like this, we put n align, right, to terminate that. Inside here we can put something, we can put enter the number, enter the number of rows, right? Right. Now we do, and over here we do a cin, right? Cin, and of course we do the n, right? Because that is the one that we declare for the rows, right? Then in this case, over here you can put another comment. Consider here prompt. Here we, why is not okay? Here we prompt the user, right? Enter. Okay, so right here we can actually put something like okay, so we start with the first for loop, right? In the first for loop we will do something like this. The first for loop will do for, right? And then open parenthesis and open curly bracket and open that little way down. And inside here is when we need to declare another integer I, right? Integer I, and it's going to be equal to 1 initially, right? And then semicolon, and then we do I, right? It's going to be less or equal to the number of iteration of the number of rows, right? So then another semicolon, and we increment I, right? Plus plus. Then we come over here, and we will declare the variable. That the variable is called, we call it int, and then we call it coefficient. All right, coefficient, and then val, right? Like that. And that is going to be initially declared to 1. Okay, so then that is going to be that one, and then we're going to do another loop, for loop, the inner loop, right? This is called inner loop, nested loop, right? So in this one, we will do the following. We will do for, and then we will do k, right? K, integer k is less or equal to, nope, integer k equal, to declare that, right? We need to declare it like this. It's going to be n, minus I, right? It's going to be n minus I, right? Then semicolon, right? In this case, right, we can say that k, it has to be greater than 0, right? So k is greater than 0, and then what happened, we decrement it because k is going to be the one creating the spaces for us, left and right, the blank spaces in the triangle. So we need to say decrement, right? Because we start with higher number of spaces and decremented, right? So we decremented k, right, by 1. Okay, now here, if that statement is true, then we print, we see out spaces like that, right? And then we say out blank space, right? Now here, then, okay, so we have a for loop that basically that will be doing, it will be doing just that, right? Just basically not something special. It's going to be just technically just doing the spaces for us, right? Now we need another for loop, right? For loop here, and this one will get the brackets because this the code inside that is going to be executed, is going to be outputting doing the output for us, right? Now here we will do this, right? So we will do this, and then we will do the following. We will say j is equal to, initially equal to 1, right? But of course it's going to be an int, right? And then it's going to be a semicolon here, and then in this case we will say that j is less or equal to I, right? Is less or equal to I, right? Now we increment j, right? We increment j, and then here we see out if that is the case, and it's going to be see out coefficient, right? Coefficient. So see out coefficient, right? So, and then coefficient is going to be the number, right? The value of coefficient, right? And then of course right here it's going to be create another space, right? Now here, so we just do that, right? Now here we will do the formula. So okay, so here we will do the formula, which is coefficient val is equal to coefficient val times I, right, minus j divided by j, right? And then we end up with a semicolon. Now, if that is the case, we will simply in this inner loop right here, right? In this inner loop, we will actually put an end on line, right? It's going to, if that is the case, whatever the case is right here, right? If in this case right here, if j is greater than I, then it will come out and it will go back to the main loop, right? So then it's going to be C out, right? C out is going to just go to the next line. Okay, so n. Right, so like that. Okay, and here, right, and over here, remember that this, right, this is the main loop, and this is the main function, the main bracket. So we can say right here, return 0. Hopefully, we'll output what we want now. Let's try it. I need to cancel anything that I had running in the background, I guess. Okay, so now to 5, right? You can see that triangle is being output right here. But let's say that I want to do more numbers, right? If I want to do more rows, the triangle start losing its shape to the right. You can actually see that. Let's say that I want to do 8. You can see that the ones are being shifted to the right. I am pretty sure that there's a way how to solve this issue, but I mean, for right now, I am happy with 5 that look nice and neat, right? So yeah, so not bad. So that's it, guys. Hopefully you learned something today about the Pascal triangle and how it is created in the C++ program. So thank you for watching.